Welcome into the electrifying world of Wide Eye Sports, the podcast that brings you the latest in NFL news, stories, and not so expert analysis on all things NFL. Buckle up as we dive into the exhilarating 2023 NFL season. Yo, everybody, welcome in to Wide Eye Sports. You got your boy Brenner here hosting tonight. We got Dalton, Lane, and Riley all back at you this week. The core four are here. Eric couldn't make it this week, so he will be back hopefully next week. We have a jam-packed show for you guys today. We have a lot to talk about. We got, a week's worth of news. We got week one to go over. We're gonna start with the weeklies. Every week we do the weeklies. So I'm gonna get underway with the game of the week. So I'm going to say my last week's game and then my next week's game. Last week, I'm going to take Jets-Bills. I think that game was fucking insane. I mean, Rodgers going out in the first 75 seconds of the game, only to have Zach Wilson lead the team to an overtime win with a fucking punt return from a dude who made the roster the last week of the preseason. I mean, God, the Bills didn't play good, but still, that's a great story, great game.
I wouldn't say Zach Wilson led them, but I'd say
I would say their defense. Jets
their defense led them.
He was their quarterback.
I wouldn't even say their defense led them. Josh Allen.
Josh Allen lost it. The Jets didn't win it. The Bills lost it.
Josh Allen is the Jets MVP.
Josh Allen for Jets MVP.
Yes.
Josh Allen was New York's favorite player last night. So I'm gonna move to my week 2 prediction game of the week, and I have right here my game of the week is something that I don't think anybody else is gonna pick today. I might have a little insider trading knowledge on that, but
LOL.
The Seattle Seahawks at the Detroit Lions. I think that is going to be such a good game. You have Detroit coming off a win against Kansas City at home opener. They're going to be looking to go. And then you have Seattle, who played down to a personally subpar Rams team. Like, they let those Rams receivers go crazy, and that was insane to me. But the Seattle offense has so much talent. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think this is going to be a 28-34 kind of game, and I am really looking forward to it. I'm really excited to see these two offenses just hit it off and get going. So with that, I'll pass it off to Dalton.
Right on. What's going on, guys? I'm Dalton, world's biggest Cowboys fan. My game of the week for last week was also the Jets-Bills game. Just a lot of drama, There's a whole lot of hype going into that game, especially with, Hard Knocks. That I don't know if anybody watched that, but I watched all that, and that really hyped me up for this game. And also, Cowboys play Jets next week, so I was just really kind of wanting to see what they're about, which still, even without Aaron Rodgers, still a little scary. So
Cowboys are going to win that game. I personally guarantee it right here. Personal guarantee Cowboys will win that game.
Thank you.
I love it.
But my game of the week next week is going to be Ravens-Bengals. I have always loved this rivalry. And even though the Ravens did pretty well, they looked a little shaky last week. And I really want to see a full force Ravens team. I want to see more Odell. And then also Joe Burrow and the Bengals have to prove something. I mean, devastating loss, in my opinion, to lose to the Browns. So I am really excited for the Ravens-Bengals. I think that's going to be a really good game.
Yeah.
Kuhn?
All right, so I'm not going to go over what the game of the week last week was. I'm just going to say the ones that I predicted. And because I think I was kind of spot on with both of them. I did predict that the Chargers-Dolphins was going to be the game of the week, and it was right up there with Jets-Bills. All right, I'll give you guys that. I think it was just as good of a game. And then my second game was Eagles-Patriots, and I said it was going to come right down to the wire. It was going to be closer than we all thought. It was. I mean, literally, the Patriots had a chance to win that game if Boot if Booty just puts both feet in bounds, like
Yeah.
damn, it's first and goal. They got 4
Yeah.
plays to score a touchdown. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, real
Um,
quick, let me interrupt you real quick. Last week my prediction was Giants Cowboys, and as a Cowboys fan, that was absolutely game of the week for me. Anyway, continue.
but
I think New York would agree or disagree with you.
So originally for this week, I did have Chiefs Jags as the top game of the week, but I feel like that's kind of that's a gimme. That's what everybody's going to be watching. It's Trevor Lawrence revenge game against the team that knocked him out of the playoffs. Like obviously they're looking at that game. They had it circled on their schedule from the beginning of the year. But I'm actually stealing. Me and Riley have the same game of the week, and I'm sorry, Riley.
He's calling an audible. He's calling an audible.
No, I'm not calling an audible. I'm going with that.
No,
game.
you're not.
It's
Oh,
40
okay.
It's
thought you were about
49ers
to-
Rams.
Oh no, that's a different game.
Oh,
I had you
really?
as KC Jacksonville.
No, I told you I changed it up. I have
Oh,
40,
I missed that.
I have 49ers Rams. So the reason
Okay.
the reason I picked this game is because everybody thought the Rams were going to be just this average to low tier team. I mean, with Cooper Kupp out, we didn't know exactly what to expect. They went into Seattle last week. They controlled the whole game against Seattle, and Matthew Stafford, he didn't make any mistakes, which I mean that was great for him. He played awesome. He had over 300 yards passing, and he was clutch, and his receivers were just getting open, and it was I don't know. It was just they tore up that Seattle defense, and
Dude, that was crazy. I live in Seattle, so I watched that
Yep.
game after the Vikings finished getting their asses kicked, and I was sitting here watching the Rams, going, "Who the fuck are these guys?"
yeah, who are these receivers? One of them's a Nuka.
That's the Super Bowl team.
Nuka Polka or whatever. I can't even
Yeah,
pronounce
yeah.
his last name, but
Yeah.
oh my
Those
god,
are the guys that went to the
10
fucking
receptions,
Super Bowl, man.
like that's insane. And yeah,
Yeah.
he's a rookie, and obviously, I mean, Stafford's he's on right now, and I think they're going
Yeah.
to carry that over into week 2. The 49ers did just blow out the Steelers, though. But I personally, I'm
That's not a
just
Steelers scored 7.
yeah, okay. They
Not a
still
blowout.
They blew them out. They didn't shut them out.
yeah, they blew them
Oh,
out. They
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
shut them
It
out.
was a blowout. It just wasn't a shutout. Cowboys had the shutout.
But I'm actually excited to watch this game. I think, especially with it being a divisional game, the Rams are definitely going to step up, and I'm excited to see just how it happens. But yeah, that's my game.
I
of the
like
week.
it. I like it.
Riley, what's yours, man?
So, game of the week last week, I'm going to go with Bills Jets.
Yeah.
I won't spend too much time on it just because it's been covered pretty thoroughly at this point. But my game of the week going into next week, I think, is the Jags versus KC. Now, the Jags are going to be coming into this game feeling confident after a good win against the Colts. Now, whether that was an easy win because it was the Colts, either way, I think they're going
Colts
to come in
looked good.
very confident.
Colts looked good.
And KC is getting Kelsey and Chris Jones back, but I still think there's a very real chance that KC could start the season 0-2 with what I would say is a guaranteed win against the Bears week 3. So,
Is that at Chicago or
But-
at Kansas City?
at Kansas
Yeah,
City,
I'm pretty
I
sure
think
Kansas
it's going to
City's
be
home.
bad.
Matt Nagy
Either way.
revenge game.
Don't even get. Hey,
Yeah, it's at
Matt Nagy
KC.
takes over as OC and they lose the game. Is that a coincidence? I think not.
All right.
It's the Nagy curse, man.
The Nagy curse. All right. With that, we're going to move on to our MVP and biggest losers of the previous week.
Can I take it
I'm
away?
gonna
Just give it a start.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Because this is I just want to say one thing real quick. One of my MVPs of the week is the Texas Longhorns. Okay, they
Let's
just
go.
they just went into Alabama. They put the beat down on Nick Saban. They're now ranked number 4 in the nation. Easy schedule for the rest of the year. Only one game out of the state of Texas. Look out, Texas is
Okay,
back.
but
That's
what
all I
was
gotta say.
Alabama thinking at quarterback? That was crazy.
Hey, that's our defense just stepped up. Our defense is
Yeah.
solid. I mean, Alabama's the
Anyway.
bigger team, and we showed that we can hang with them. So,
All right. Do
Anyway.
you got a biggest loser from last week?
I was gonna let you go ahead.
Okay. All right.
I just wanted to
Well,
start. I just wanted to
all
start
right.
with that.
All right. That's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna start with my MVP, and mine's a duo kind of situation. My MVP of the week is Tua and Tyreek. Like those two popping the off. I mean, I
Yeah.
really thought about putting the Jets team as just my MVP of the week,
Yeah.
but I had Tua and Tyreek Sunday
the same
night. I
thing.
had them, and I'm like, you know
Same
what?
as you.
So I got a few little tidbits here. Tua went 11 for 15 with 215 yards and Tyreek went 11 for 15 with 215 yards and 2 tutties. Tua went 28 for 45 with 466 yards and a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. And the only interception was on a deep 50-50 ball down the sideline. So it wasn't like some high percentage, like, oh, missed throw. I fucking didn't read the defense properly. He had a 110 quarterback rating. Granted, he did have a couple bad fumbles that weren't really pretty, but hey, that they didn't cost him the game. The only other thing I had on it is Tyreek had a 154.9 quarterback rating when targeted. That is insanity. They had J.C. Jackson trying to cover Tyreek Hill, and it looked like me trying to cover Tyreek Hill. Okay, this was not
fast.
Several times in this game, they had J.C. Jackson in man coverage on Tyreek Hill with no safety help, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, get 4 people on that man, like 8 people. Fucking let Jalen Waddle beat you for all I care. Do not let Tyreek Hill go for 215 yards.
He's unguardable.
He is, dude. Man on man, you just can't.
There's a reason his
it.
Twitter handle is Cheetah.
Exactly. I'll go ahead and switch over to my biggest loser of the week, and this doesn't give me any joy or anything of that sort. But my biggest loser of the week is Justin Fields. He had, he had.
Vikings.
I'll get to that later. Justin Fields had the opportunity here to go out against their biggest division rival and quiet all the haters. He had the stage was set. He had the opportunity. He's had all offseason to get ready. He had the weapons. He had everything he needed to go out there and put the NFC North, the NFL, whoever he wanted on notice, saying, I am here and I am here to be a pro NFL quarterback. And instead, he had 87 air yards on 24 throws. That's 3.6 yards in the air per throw on the game. That is not exactly putting the NFL on notice. And then, he just didn't. I love what he can do on the ground. I'm going to say that. I don't want to just bag on Justin Fields for 3 minutes here. I do love what he can do on the ground, and he played really well in that aspect of escaping the pocket, escaping pressure, getting out and using his legs. He does that so well. He just can't read a defense, and it showed up perfectly on the pick six. And I talked to Riley about this a little bit earlier. The pick six, he motions a tight end into the backfield, Justin Fields does. And one of the linebackers motions over with the tight end, making it appear that it's man coverage. So he thinks, I have man coverage. I'm going to throw this ball up the seam because it's probably cover 3 man, because that's the look they were giving pre-snap. And so he hikes the ball, and he just locks on to his receiver. He's just staring at him, staring him down. And then as soon as he gets to the top of the route, he fires the ball in there. But if you pay attention to the defense on that play, as soon as that ball is snapped, everybody's zone drops. Every single person on the defense zone drops as soon as that ball is snapped into a 3-4 zone. And you have to be able to see that post snap. You have to be able to read that as an NFL quarterback. But he just did so many things like that all game long, and he just really hurt his team. So that's my biggest loser of the week. I'm going to pass it off to Dalton.
Don't have a whole lot to add because I had Tua as my MVP and I was thinking about doing a duo Tyreek Hill thing because Tyreek Hill scored fucking 42 fantasy points. Holy moly. Also, side note, need some sympathy from me and Cooner because we both had Brandon Ayuk on our bench.
I'm in 3 fantasy leagues, and all 3 of them I had Brandon Ayuk on my bench.
Debo is done.
Bro, I'm glad because
I played you in one of them.
I was facing you. Yes, and I'm so glad that you didn't have him on your
my dumbass started DJ Moore.
I pointed this out. I pointed this out in the preseason.
I won both my fantasy leagues that matter, and then I lost this crazy one that we're doing.
5-0 in all my leagues. I went 5-0 this week, including dominating Riley, and I mean dominating in the wide eye league.
I scored in our little league. I scored like the least amount of points by like 60.
And at the end of the
So now you get to
show,
steal one of
Riley's
our-
going to get to pick a division to steal.
Yep.
So
Oh, that's
I hope you thought about
I
it.
have one in mind.
That's
So-
right.
All right.
keep that in
Okay.
mind, Riley.
Moving on. So, my biggest loser is Daniel Jones. Holy moly. What a loser that was. Could not score, couldn't rally anybody to score any points. Granted, some of that is on the special teams because they couldn't get that kickoff fast enough, but still. And also just the fact that like they kept him in for so much of that
Oh,
game.
yeah. That was
Tyrod
unnecessary.
Taylor came in at like a minute 10 left, and I was
He
like,
should have been
"What
pulled in
is
the fourth
honestly?"
quarter, like mid-fourth.
Honestly, you should have just like if a minute 10 left, like don't even bring out Tyrod at that. Like, what are you doing at that point? Like, you're just trying to make
Yeah.
it seem like you're like, okay, well now we think the game's over, so we're gonna put in. It's like, oh, dude, that was just so sad to me. So yeah, that's all I got.
All right.
Spoon?
So for my week, I wanted to just point out that 2 weeks ago on our first ever episode, we heard Eric say something, and it was about MVP, and we all kind of laughed. We all were like, "Oh, that's kind of crazy." Now after game one, like it's up there, and it's Tyreek Hill, obviously. Like he said that he thinks that that's his MVP candidate. And
Yeah.
right now he's on pace for 3,600 yards. Now is he going to get
That's
200
not
yards a
gonna
game? It's not going to hold.
That's
No,
not
I
gonna
don't. I
hold.
don't think it is either. But if he keeps getting, at least 100 to 200 yards a game, like he's
I'm gonna-
definitely going to break 2,000 yards.
I do hate that I saw things that people are like, Tyreek Hill is on pace to go for like 4,600 yards. It's like, okay, we saw one game. If he plays every game like that, of course. But we all know that there's no chance he gets that many yards every single
I'm just
game.
going to say
Like,
this.
You can't call out a pattern with one game played. Like, let's calm down.
Aaron Rodgers 2 years ago beat out Derrick Henry for MVP. Derrick Henry had 2,000 rushing yards and had 0 Pro Bowl offensive linemen. For the only guy to ever do it without a Pro Bowl offensive lineman. Insane season by Derrick Henry. And Rodgers won MVP on a, granted, really good season, but as far as a quarterback MVP season, it wasn't anything insane. So for Tyreek to win MVP, I'm going to say it right now. He's going to need 2,300 yards.
Yeah.
2,000
won't be enough. He's going to have to shoot past the moon.
Well, did you see Stephen A?
Which
Stephen
is
A.
possible, he
Stephen
can.
A. said that he's
He
going to get
could.
at least 1,500. He said that 2 receivers
Yes.
are going to go for 3,000 yards.
That would be insane.
That'd be insane.
Spoon,
Yeah.
you got a big. Are we doing your biggest
Yeah,
loser?
well, no, I'm still kind of going. I just wanted to touch base on 2 more MVPs. They're not really MVP candidates. It's just 2 players that I thought really stepped up this week, and one of them is Baker Mayfield. I think he came out there and he played a great game. From what I watched, there was so many times where he lowered his shoulder and ran over a defender just to get those extra yards. Whatever, it's 3rd and 4. One of them was 3rd and 2, and I watched him
Bro, it
hit the
was so
defender.
aggravating.
Dude, and he did what he needed to do. Like he's
Well,
Something
but-
I've always
people,
loved about
people,
Baker Mayfield.
people thought that he was going to come in and he's going to be probably one of the worst starters in the NFL, and he just went out there and beat the Vikings, a playoff.
He's got
team.
heart. He's
In
got the
Minnesota.
heart, man. He's got
Here's
the
the
And
thing
heart.
that
I loved
upsets me
it.
about it. Here's the thing that upsets me about the quarterback hitting. So there's the 3rd and 2 play where he gets the first down to basically ice the game.
Right.
He is running towards out of bounds. Like he is running at an angle to where he's going to go out of bounds. If our linebacker lays that hit, that is an instant flag that they get a first down anyways. And if he doesn't lay the hit, he gets the first down. It's a lose-lose for defenders. And I'm not just saying this about the Vikings. I'm saying this about all of it. Like the quarterback either needs to be treated as a pure runner or they shouldn't be allowed to scramble. But
Yeah,
I
it is
think they
kind of
should be allowed
wild
to
that they
scramble.
are allowed to run, but like you have, it's like that.
Or-
I don't remember what college game it was where the quarterback like faked the slide and then
Yeah,
he went.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah,
they
yeah,
called
I
it,
know
that.
they
was
Pitt.
immediately
Yeah,
they
Kenny
immediately
Pickett.
exactly
with
they
Pittsburgh.
immediately took that out. You know what I mean? I feel like something's gotta give for that. Like if you're a quarterback and you're gonna run, you're gonna get treated like a guy who's got the ball, and you're gonna
Well,
get
and the other
laid
thing
out as
is-
quickly as possible.
Is if Baker's Mayfield running for that 3rd and 2, our linebacker, if Baker Mayfield's hard charging and then decides to slide at the last minute, our defender is powerless. That's a flag too. So if he makes any sort of contact, so there's just the defenders are in such a loss for any sort of help there. I think that's a little bullshit, but
regardless, he
Yeah,
didn't just
yeah.
run the ball well. He also passed the ball well. That's why he's one of my.
he had a
he's one
great
of mine.
second half. I
I
agree.
also have Matthew Stafford on there. I mean, like I said
Agreed.
before, he threw for 334 yards. He did not throw for a touchdown, but really, you don't have to whenever your running backs are running all over the Seahawks defense. And he took care of the ball, which was exactly what he needed to do. My last MVP is the Cleveland Browns defense. They played one hell of a game, and I'm excited to see how they match up against Pittsburgh next week. Now, my biggest losers of the week. So, man, this is kind of tough, but I do think the Steelers were one of my biggest losers of the week. I thought that it was going to be a much better game. I still had the 49ers winning, but they couldn't do anything on offense.
Shit the bed.
They
Shit the
could
bed.
not do anything. And then obviously Joe Burrow, but I'll leave it at that. Those are my two biggest losers of the week.
Joe
I
Burrow.
think Burrow has a bounce back game next week, but we'll have to wait and see.
That'd
Yes,
be
sir.
great. That's why it's my game of the week, because he needs to bounce back against Lamar.
Yeah.
Can't go
and so
you can't
does
go 3 and
Lamar.
out 5 of your
Lamar
first 7
did.
drives.
As I'm
Come
saying
on,
too,
dude.
Lamar, even though they won, Lamar still did not play well.
Riley.
So my biggest MVP from last week, I'm going to go with the team, the LA Rams. Now, not a lot of people were high on the Rams, but as you guys said earlier, Stafford went for 300 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. They had 200-yard receivers. They put up 30 points on a division rival that was a playoff team last year. So I think the LA Rams, a lot of people were low on them. I think they really came out and made a statement. Now, for my biggest loser, let me sit up a little bit because I got to get
Is this a homer take?
Oh,
It is a homer take.
All right,
The
let's hear it.
biggest loser this week
Say it with your
was
chest.
the Chicago Bears from the top down. Even the owners had a bad week.
oh my God!
Opening drive is a flag. We go back-to-back quarterback sneaks and don't get either of them. The second one, they had 8 guys lined up between the guards. Call a timeout and go on. So our free
Go off,
agent
King.
guard, our free agent guard we got in the offseason, Nate Davis, had 9 pressures and a 7.2 pass blocking grade by PFF.
Oh my god.
Now you may have misunderstood me. I didn't say 72. I didn't say 70.2. A 7.2 pass blocking. Our center allowed 5 pressures. Our guard and our tackle allowed 5 pressures. Now I'll get Justin Fields didn't play a great game, but he was pressured 36 times. 11 of them were his fault. None of this is acceptable. Khalil Herbert and Donta Foreman, who we signed in the offseason, had a combined 14 rush attempts for 43 yards, a 3.00 yard per carry. What are you supposed to do with a 3.0 yard per carry? Now, I'll give him, Roshan Johnson had a good game. He had 6 receptions, 5 carries for 20 yards and a TD, but he really didn't get in until the second half, and we were already behind. Now, Fields did have a bad fumble, and that pick was his fault. I think Brenner did a good job of covering it. I don't know if he didn't see Quay Walker, but he definitely did stare the guy down and never looked in Quay Walker's direction. And on the defense, they were just as bad as the offense. They gave up the second most points in the league this week, which is an improvement from last year when we gave up the most points in the league. So Matt Eberflus, right? He is supposed to be a defensive-minded head coach. Ryan Poles brought over 7 new starters on defense through the draft and free agency, and we still have one of the worst defenses. Jordan Love looked like the Hall of Famer. I'm not going to lie.
Jordan Love
He threw
looked
for
great.
3 tuds. The Packers were 100% on 4th down and 90% on 3rd down. How do you let? We had 1 sack the entire game. Eddie Jackson gave up a score. He has been a liability since 2018. It is time for the Bears to move on from Eddie Jackson.
Bears
I'm
legend
saying,
Eddie Jackson.
yes, he needs to go. And Chase Claypool, he needs to be released immediately. He does not.
He's worth a second-round pick, bro.
Wear.
He's worth a second.
He
round
does
pick.
not. I don't care. He doesn't deserve to wear a jersey. He didn't have a single stat line last week. And there were multiple times he's so abhorrent in the run game that he gave up maybe 4 tackles for a loss because his guy went and got the running back or got him on a quick screen. He was running routes looking like he didn't want to be there. And Kyle Brandt said it perfectly on Good Morning Football. He didn't name him specifically, but he was sleepwalking out there. I mean, he doesn't even need to be on the field anymore. Just cut your ties with him and be done. But that's all I got.
I like it, Riley. You needed a chance to
Riley.
vent.
Everybody give a round of applause.
God,
to Riley
I'm
right
sorry,
there.
buddy.
That was good,
we
man.
Love you.
I love the dedication. I love the
of
research
the
of all
hype
the players.
every year and then just being disappointed.
We love the dedication to your team, and sometimes your team needs some tough love. I agree.
I'm
completely.
so happy to give you.
They have needed tough love since Lovie Smith left.
All right.
All
All right, so for the people watching on YouTube right now, this timer, I didn't explain this at the beginning of the show. This timer up on the screen is just in case we start to ramble or we start to go on for a little bit long. We have a nice little timer here so that we can, I won't have to cut anybody off and shut anybody down. And this will give them an accurate amount of time to, wrap up what they're saying.
I feel like we should all have access to the timer because Brenner, you kind of rambled on the beginning of yours.
Damn it! Well, just say, give me like a.
I'll just like hold up my phone. I'll just put a timer on my phone and just hold it up to the camera.
Yeah, do that. I don't know. The timer's just on my computer. I don't know how to get a timer up on podcast.
No, you're good. I was mostly just joshing
All right.
you.
Podcast will plug. So next up, we're gonna move on to our Power 5 of the week.
Exciting.
Here?
I'm ready to see what you guys have.
Here we go. Nobody. Is it not sharing? It's not sharing. Why is it not sharing? It didn't.
It's still got your timer.
Yeah.
Yep. We're just gonna do this. And we're gonna share screen. Perfect. There we go. All right.
There we go.
So Wide Eyes Power 5. So this week, to start off, we got the Philadelphia Eagles at number 5.
Bro, who keeps putting the Eagles up on here?
Really?
Who keeps putting the Eagles on here?
We have the Chiefs at 4. The Miami Dolphins at 3.
Really?
I had 'em
The
at
Dallas
3.
Cowboys at 2.
What?
And the San Francisco 49ers at the 1 spot. Now, I have everybody's lists right here. All right.
Go ahead, say mine. I will
I'm
gladly.
Nope.
go-
We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Okay.
This is our unanimous 5. I will say everybody had the same 2 teams in the top 2. Everybody either had Dallas or San Francisco in their top 2 across the
Okay.
board.
So we're all on board with that, at least.
Yeah, the
Good.
only team that came up just short that multiple people had
Detroit Lions.
was Cincinnati.
Wow.
Cincinnati, New
They
Orleans,
were out of-
Detroit,
not in my
and
top 5.
Baltimore each got one vote. But no, this is our unanimous top 5 this week. This is what we got, and I think it's pretty accurate. I got some other top 5s throughout the league. So Bleacher Report had the Niners, Dallas, Philly, KC, Miami, which is very similar to ours.
Yeah.
And then the NFL, like NFL.com, had 49ers, Kansas City, Philly, Dallas, Miami, which is the same 5 teams. So I feel like we're in the right ballpark here. I feel like we're pretty
didn't
good
want
here.
to throw the Chiefs all the way out, and I also didn't want to throw the Philadelphia Eagles all the way out. But they definitely did not deserve to be top 3 after those losses.
No.
Well, the Eagles didn't lose.
And
but
I don't know. I don't
Or,
know
yeah.
how you can put the Niners over a 40-point shutout
I
against what people think is a playoff.
I put the
team.
Niners over the Cowboys. I still have them.
See, I didn't. I had the Cowboys, and I agree with you, Riley. Man, Cowboys were the only team to hold anybody else to 0 points. Nobody had that at all. Everybody gave the Cowboys 3.5 points. Guess what? Should have gave us 40. Should have gave us 40 points. The 49ers, who everybody holds above the Cowboys, still got scored 7 points. They got scored 7 points on. Everybody talks about how their defense is better than the Cowboys, and they got 7 points scored on them. And
Yeah,
it's not a lot,
but
but it's
Greg
still a score.
Greg the Leg missed 2 field goals, so they should have. I
He's
mean, and
not
they.
Greg the leg anymore. He needs to retire.
I'm just saying they should have had some points scored. But I just want to ramble just real quick minute. Give it to me.
Yeah, give it. Go for it.
Take it.
I
Hit it.
said last week that the Eagles' defense is not what they. It's not the same as they were last year. After watching the Patriots game, like, does anybody agree? Like, it's right. It's accurate. They should have lost that game to the Patriots. Man, it's
I
just
don't know if they
think-
should have
Keep it
lost,
shambles.
but they could have lost.
they could have
I don't know-
lost.
I don't know if
but
should have is the right word.
man, I'm not high on that defense this year, and I feel like the
Did
Patriots
you guys peep the
putting up.
Jalen Hurts fumble? Did you guys peep that fumble? I mean, he was talking a lot of
Yeah.
stuff about the Super Bowl fumble and how he's going to be better about that, and then
And then
to
he
come
fumbled
out
first
week
game.
one and then fumble, all scaredy.
Mhm.
Also-
The Patriots turned the ball over 3 times to the Eagles 1. Let's say the Patriots actually like hold on and take care of the ball. I think the Patriots win that game.
Fair
But
enough.
that's just
I
my
don't
take.
think that's a.
But-
I don't think that's a crazy take.
But
I
we
don't
have
think that's
the
crazy
we
at
have
all.
the Eagles in the top 5. That's fine. But as long as the Cowboys and the Niners and the Dolphins and the Chiefs are above them, which is exactly
Yeah.
what I have. I mean, I'm right there.
I had the
And-
Jets. I had the Jets at 5.
I had the Lions in my top 5.
I
Yep, we
wanted to
did.
put the Lions in my top 5, but I feel like
I think that's ludicrous.
They went into
See,
Arrowhead.
Yeah,
without
they did go into
2/3
Arrowhead.
of the Chiefs bet. That's like if the Vikings played the Cowboys and you were missing Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, and I was like, yeah, but we beat you in AT&T. Like it's the same
I mean,
thing. Like
yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
we went into
You-
Minnesota last year with Cooper
Hot
Rush
take.
and beat
yeah,
you,
with
so-
Cooper Rush. Yeah, no, like that was
Hot
a
take.
fucking throttling.
Everybody says that Patrick Mahomes is the best Chiefs player. It's Travis Kelce, hands down.
No,
No,
Yeah,
That
Travis
is-
Kelce.
I'm not on board with that.
that is a hot
No,
take. and
I
it's-
am on board
it's
with
too
that
hot.
because if you put a quarterback in who's not as talented as Patrick Mahomes, I guarantee
Alex Smith?
you, like
Alex Smith, yeah, they
don't-
didn't.
They didn't win a Super Bowl with him.
yeah,
they had
but what,
Kelce.
what, were Patrick, what were,
Didn't they
what
go
were
to
Travis
an
Kelce's
AFC championship?
They
what were
did.
Travis
They did.
Kelce's stats? My point is Travis Kelce is better. Doesn't mean that a tight end is not going to get you to the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Here's my thing. All right, I'm gonna kind of contradict you here, Dalton, because I have said this, and I wish Steven was on this podcast. Oh, he's gonna have a hard time listening to this and not being able to talk back. to me. So I've said this for years, and I mean years, since George Kittle's. Here, I'm gonna look up real quick. We're gonna look up
Oh,
Kittle.
we're talking about tight ends.
Yep, we're gonna go tight ends. We're gonna get off script a little bit here,
I know
boys
where
and
this
girls.
is going.
So let's see,
Is Kittle on the decline?
I don't know. We'll talk about that next. Hold on. So in 2018, George Kittle, as a second-year player, playing in Kyle Shanahan's offense with Jimmy Garoppolo, set the NFL tight end yardage record, which Kelsey a year later then broke with Patrick Mahomes. But that proves without a shadow of a doubt to me, Travis Kelce and George Kittle are not on the same level. Kittle did
That's
it
not-
in a hold on. Kittle did it in a worse offense with less weapons. Exactly what Kelce was able to achieve with far superior weapons. My hot take is that if you took the top 4 tight ends in the NFL outside of Travis Kelce, however you want to quantify that, and you put them in Travis Kelce's spot,
They
personally, I think they would be at Kelsey's level or above him. I don't think Travis Kelce himself is super special. I mean, he is. He's a top 5
Well, that's
tight
not
end
my point.
anyway about it.
My point is people just are like Chiefs, Patrick. I just
Yeah.
think that Travis Kelce is the difference maker. Like he's the guy.
He is a difference maker for sure, without a shadow of a doubt.
I just don't think that Patrick Mahomes is the best player.
I mean, they lost their best weapon at Tyreek Hill, and they really had nobody. And Kelsey stepped up to the plate and still.
I agree.
Like, he still did. He
That-
played at the
that
same level.
season that he broke the season that he broke the tight end receiving record, was Tyreek on that team?
Yes.
Was he the second?
Yes, he
option?
was. He was. 2019 is when Kelsey broke it. 2018 is when Kittle set it.
Okay.
All right, so back to Riley's question: is Kittle on the decline?
Personally, yes, actually, because he's just hurt. He just can't stay healthy. He missed 3 games.
Yeah.
He missed 8 games 3 years ago, 3 games the year before last, and 2 games last year. He just can't play a full season. And even when he played 15 games last year, he only had 765 yards. Now,
Well, I don't
granted,
think
he's got
injury-
a lot
I don't
of
think-
options.
I don't think being injured is a fair.
The
way
best
to-
ability
I just don't
is-
think that
His
it's.
availability.
Yeah, like I don't think like if you get injured, I don't think it's like, oh well, he's on the decline because he keeps getting injured. It's like,
well, injury prone.
come on, man. Like you're lucky if you play an NFL game and don't get injured. I feel like
No,
guys
well,
who make
well-
a full season and don't get injured, like that's amazing. Honestly, like
The-
Aaron Rodgers
Let-
couldn't do it.
So, I'm obviously,
couldn't make a full drive.
Sorry,
I'm,
couldn't
I'm
make it 2 minutes.
obviously, I'm not looking at George Kittle's injury history, but I can say I've had 5 shoulder surgeries between both of them. After the first one, it's never the same. And I think, like, no matter what, any time you're having to go in for surgery or get something fixed, it does not come back the same, no matter how much you tell yourself it has. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's always going to be a little bit of strength lost in whatever body part got hurt just from the recovery time. And now you're scrambling to either get ready for the season, get ready for training camp, whatever you can to get back sooner.
Mhm.
And I just feel if you're constantly getting hurt, you're constantly not coming back the player you were.
All right, I agree with that completely. We're gonna move on here to our next. Unless you have something anybody want to say anything else before we move on? Anybody
I
got
was just
anything?
gonna say, we'll know this year. You know what I mean? Hopefully George Kittle doesn't
Absolutely.
get injured, and we'll be able
Yeah.
to see what kind of year he has.
All right, so we're gonna move on then. So next up, I had the boys, pick a team. So 9 of the past 10 Super Bowl teams have featured a team the year prior that did not win a playoff game. So I assigned a conference to each one of the boys, and they all picked a team off the list from that conference. So I'm gonna start, and you guys are all gonna flame me for this because my team
Is the Minnesota
God.
Vikings?
is the
Oh my
Minnesota
God.
Vikings. Now, hear me out. Okay. I want you guys to hear me out on this. Okay. I got some relevant stats. Okay.
You're
The
talking about
Vikings-
Baker Mayfield stats?
No.
Oh.
No,
Oh,
Baker
okay.
Mayfield played good in that second half. There ain't no way around it. He played good football. He played Brett Favre football in that second half. So the Vikings averaged 6 yards per play. The Bucks averaged 3.5 yards per play. In the history of the Minnesota Vikings, that has happened before yesterday 30 times. So yesterday was the 31st time that had ever happened when the Vikings had at least 6 yards per play and their opponent was held under 4 yards per play. They are now 28-3 in those games because we had 3 terrible turnovers in that in the first half. Sorry, not second half. We had our right guard literally strip Kirk Cousins of the football. We had a missed blitz pickup, which I will admit that's Kirk's fault. That is all Kirk's fault. Kirk needs to get those guys in protection and get it right. And then the interception on the goal line, I don't know if you guys watched that. KJ Osborne had it in his arms and the defender ripped it out of his arms. Like there's nothing Kirk could have done to save that
Yeah.
ball. Like
Yeah.
so those are just
Mhm.
3 really bad kind of the 2 of them are fluky. The strip sack was not fluky. Antoine Winfield Jr. disguised the blitz perfectly and shot out of a cannon right at Kirk and just stripped him. It was beautiful football play. But that being said, The Vikings gave up 3 turnovers and only let them score on one of the turnovers. And on the turnover they scored on, they didn't get a single yard on offense. They just kicked a field goal from where the turnover happened. So the other 2 turnovers, they forced punts. And so 3 turnovers allowed them to beat us by 3 points. So if we don't turn the ball over 3 times, we walk out of there with a dub. And
That's fair.
I really think this Vikings defense played really well yesterday. They held a team to under 3.5 yards per play. That's hard to do. This is the NFL. That's just hard to do. And so I think this offense was clicking for the most part all day. So I'm going to stop rambling. I'm just going to send it to Dalt with the. Oh no, it's Riley. Sorry, Riley had the.
Oh, okay.
I forgot. I had Riley up next.
I got the AFC, and I went with the Cleveland Browns.
Question.
And especially after that win in Cincinnati, I understand both quarterbacks played bad, but Cleveland's defense looked good. And obviously Deshaun Watson, he went 16 for 39 for $150, a tud, a pick, and 45 yards on the ground, and another tud on the ground. But I obviously think there's room to improve on the offense. I think Nick Chubb had a good game. I've heard people saying it was a rain game, but I mean, both teams were playing in the rain and both quarterbacks ended up playing bad. But now the Browns have a tiebreaker win over Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Did Riley pick his team before I picked mine?
I don't remember.
Okay, I was just wondering.
I want to say I did it right after you sent everything.
I can't remember. All right,
Okay.
Riley, you good? Is that all you got?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Next up,
Yeah.
Lane.
So that's why I was asking if he picked the Browns over the Dolphins, because out of all the teams in the AFC, I feel like the Dolphins was the easy pick here. I said last week that the Dolphins Chargers this game had a lot of playoff implication, because I do think it's going to come down to a tiebreaker between these two, possibly for a wild card. And the Dolphins now have that tiebreaker. They also their defense worries me just a little bit, but I mean, if you have an offense that puts up 36 points a game, it's going to be tough to beat that. So that's, I'm definitely riding with the Dolphins here.
All righty. And last but not least,
Packers.
Wow.
Yeah,
Ooh,
for the
damn.
NFC. I'm gonna be honest. I really just felt like I didn't have a lot to choose from. As far as the NFC goes, I didn't really have any faith in.
I felt like you were going to pick Detroit.
You know, I'm just kind of waiting and see on them. You know, I was gonna pick Detroit with the Kansas City win, but it just, you know, one play and the one less drop by Kadarius Toney, and the Chiefs have won that game. So
I agree.
You know what I mean? I was just really kind of impressed with the Packers game. You know, going off of what Riley said, just really how terrible the Bears were. They gave up second most points in the league that day.
Every team wishes they could play the Bears right. It's important.
Luckily for you, I get to do it twice.
And it just as hyped as everybody was for Aaron Rodgers to go to the Jets, I was really excited to, as much as I hated the Packers, I really think it just kind of was the fact that Aaron Rodgers was on the Packers. But I was excited to see how the Packers are going to do without Aaron Rodgers.
All right.
I mean, you chose Green Bay over a lot of other teams. I'm surprised.
Well,
you could have chose like the Saints, the Rams, Detroit, but I mean, hey.
I mean, Saints.
Right.
Like I said, man, I said before, I'm not high on the Saints and Rams either.
Saints are gonna make it as like the 2 seed and then get throttled in the first round.
Probably.
Derek Carr was my MVP last week, and they won.
Bryce Young, 2 picks.
Yeah, rookies didn't look great.
Anthony Richardson looked good, even though they lost.
The Falcons, Desmond Ridder had a stinky game.
Yeah, he did.
He went like 14 for 16 for $150.
Yeah.
I think the Falcons are a team to watch
Very
out for
very
right
game managery.
Yep.
and Tampa if Baker keeps playing good. You know what I mean?
I agree.
All right.
I agree.
When we were doing the predictions,
They have a good roster.
I said, yeah, the team will go as far as Baker takes them.
Yep. All right. Well, next and last but not least, we're going to hit up. Riley, I think I'm reverberating in yours. Can I hear myself? No, we're good. All right. Never mind. We're going to move on to the big news that happened across the league this week. And just, I'm going to call on people, random people. We're just going to go and it's going to be rapid fire. And I want your thoughts on the subject. So I'm going to pick Dalton first. And I want your thoughts on the fact that Monday Night Football was the most viewed Monday Night Football game ever. It had 22.64 million people turn in.
I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers. It was that was the draw. Everybody wanted to see Aaron Rodgers. He was on Hard Knocks. I'm sure most of those people probably have an HBO account and were watching Hard Knocks. And a lot of cheeseheads, a lot of haters, and a lot of lovers. You know what I'm saying? Haters wanting to see him fail and loved that he got injured. And Aaron Rodgers. Sometimes when you're with a team, like even let's say this whole thing with Dak doesn't work out with the Cowboys, wherever he goes, I'm going to be happy for him, and I'm going to watch him, and I'm going to want him to do good. So people were probably wanting to tune in and see that too. So
Yeah. I will say this. One extra thing: there was a bar in Wisconsin that was offering
I heard
free
about this.
drinks, free tabs if the Jets lose. And when Aaron Rodgers went out, people started ringing those tabs up like crazy, and they ended up winning, so they had to pay those
That's
tabs.
so funny. That's so funny.
It's hilarious. All right,
Shout out
next
that
up
bar,
we got Riley. Riley,
Okay.
what do you think about Joey Bosa's new contract?
So I'm actually, this is probably the
Joey
best one
Bosa.
you could have given
You mean
me,
Nick
right?
Bosa?
No, Nick
So-
Bosa. Sorry, Nick Bosa. If I said
And
Joey
I
Bosa.
think it was last episode I brought this up. Obviously, he's the highest paid defensive player in the NFL. But I am really curious on what this does for Micah Parsons. Because yes, I think Micah Parsons is a more versatile player, but I don't think he is the better edge rusher. I think he is a minus linebacker, A minus pass rusher, whereas Nick Bosa is an A plus solidified defensive end. And I think after last season, if you start going through all the edge stats, there's a difference between Nick Bosa and everyone else when it comes to sacks, tackles for loss.
Just pure edge rush.
So I'm interested if during Cowboys negotiations, if they say, well, you're not the pass rusher Nick Bosa is, so you need to take less than him, or the Cowboys are like, no, you're more versatile, so you deserve more money. I think this contract, although it's great for Nick Bosa, I think it has very big implications, good or bad, for Micah Parsons.
Okay.
I think the fact that you think Nick Bosa is better than Micah Parsons is crazy. Micah
No,
Parsons
no,
had-
that's
Wait,
not what he
wait,
said.
that's
That's not what he
that's not
said.
what
He
he said.
said better.
He was
edge
comparing.
rusher.
Yeah, he was
Better
comparing.
edge
Yeah.
rusher.
I was about to say Nick
All right.
Bosa had 0 sacks his first game.
All right,
so-
next up, Kuhn, you're on the block here, and I'm gonna hit you with: will Caleb Williams return to college or go pro?
Ooh. So I don't think he does. And here's my reasoning with that is I think right now at first Caleb, like all the hype was on Caleb Williams. Now you have not only Shedeur Sanders in Colorado that is stepping up and looking excellent. You have I can't think of the quarterback out of Duke, but he looked great against
Is it Drake May?
I
Drake
think
May?
it was Drake May. Yeah, he looked great, but now you have all these quarterbacks that it's showing that hey, this upcoming draft class for quarterbacks isn't that bad.
It's deep.
It's deep. It's getting deeper. I mean, I would even say that Quinn Ewers is putting himself in the top five for Texas
he
right
is
now.
putting himself there. And then the
yes.
Washington quarterback, I can't remember his name right now, but he's really good. He balled out, dude.
So, I mean, personally, when you're comparing all that, I think that if he doesn't go, it would just kind of look foolish. It would show that he's kind of scared to put himself in the same draft class with these like high caliber quarterbacks. So I think he needs to go. Regardless if he goes to Arizona, I know that he doesn't want to go. But I mean, you're gonna make more money in the pros, dude. That's something you got to do.
Okay.
Can I throw something into that conversation too?
Go ahead.
I think we are going to start seeing more and more of this as NIL deals get bigger and bigger.
Yep.
I need to stop you right there. I need
Because
to stop you right
from-
there real quick because everyone keeps throwing at NIL, and I don't know what NIL means.
So
Name, image, likeness.
Yeah.
College players are getting paid now.
yeah, they can
and they're
get
getting
paid for their
good
name,
money.
image, and likeness.
Yeah, they can get paid
Gotcha.
legally
So-
now, not under the table like they were before.
I was about to say I knew
So
that was a thing. I
The
knew
more
that
you
it-
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from Caleb Williams' point of view, like, no, he doesn't want to play for the Cardinals. He comes back as a college superhero for one more year and is getting paid millions to do it.
Yeah.
And I feel as the contracts go and more people, you could start seeing late round draft picks stay to try and improve their stock one more year and get paid more. There's already guys coming out in this draft saying they made more in college than they did in the pros. So I think this is a much bigger conversation that's only going to grow as more and more players elect to
Absolutely.
stay another year.
Absolutely. All right. So next thing, I'm just gonna say a statement real quick. Mike Williams died today, former Tampa Bay Buccaneers receiver. He died at 36 years old from a construction accident. We just want to say rest in peace and shout out to his family and his loved ones. Hope they're doing all right now. It's a tough time. So I just wanted to give him a shout out because he deserves it. So
He does. And real
Next-
quick, I do think Caleb Williams messed up not going in the draft last year, but that's just me.
was he? I didn't think
should have been
he wasn't eligible.
Yeah, he
was
played one. He played
Oh,
1 year at OU,
can-
and then he transferred to USC. Played 1 year, so he could have gone.
Oh, okay.
Can I throw something in there about Shadur Sanders too?
Yes. Right after this, Shadur Sanders
All right.
is ahead of Caleb Williams in yards, but behind him by like 5 touchdowns. So like that's a neck and neck race. Riley, go.
Yep.
So one thing that obviously Shadur Sanders is playing great. You cannot take that away
Yeah.
from him. But he has been coached by his father since he was little. All he knows is that offense, and he's been working on it for 20 years or
Crazy
however
team
old
up.
he is.
Crazy team.
So I would not be that surprised if if he goes into the NFL and actually has a problem learning a new offense.
I
'cause
think-
he's
I think
never
whatever
learned
team-
a new offense before.
I think whatever team drafts him will know that, and they will build an offense around him to make up for that. I don't.
Or bring Dion on as your head coach.
Oh, that would be spicy. All right, hold on. Next
Bro,
up.
I don't
Up.
care who he coaches for. If he comes in and coaches for the NFL, that team is going to be like my next number 2 team. I don't care who it is.
All right, I want everybody. I'm gonna give one of these when you have to stop talking. It's gonna be very random. I want everybody to give a 30-second spiel on their Jets outlook. Go, Dalton.
Fuck. I don't think it looks good. I think that they got lucky with the Bills shitting the bed, and I think with Aaron Rodgers out, they are not ready for it. And I don't think their season's gonna go. They were possible Super Bowl contenders. Now, not even thinking about it.
All right, Riley.
So I think this is possibly the best thing that could have happened for Zach Wilson. I think if I'm the Jets with Aaron Rodgers out, I bring him onto the coaching staff or use him as a quarterback coach and just have Zach Wilson working with Aaron Rodgers with the first team rather than running him with the second team.
Good.
Personally, this Jets defense is still going to be able to carry them to a lot of wins, I believe. Are they still going to be a playoff team? I don't personally think so. I think they're just going to miss the playoffs now with Aaron Rodgers out of the picture. But yeah, that's kind of where I have them finishing now around like 9-8, 8-9. They're just going to be kind of an average team without Rodgers. And also back to Caleb Williams, you're right, he was not eligible last year. That was my bad.
Okay, I thought so. I was like, I didn't think he was eligible.
I thought he
But,
was. Yeah, that was my bad. But yeah, that's my Jets outlook. They're just
Cool.
gonna be mid.
Yeah. All right, so last bit of big weekly news here. So we have a pretty strict policy on the show, no talking politics. So this is going to be kind of edge righty. So we're gonna make this short and sweet. The Bills owner got called out this week for making very racy remarks. And I think, unless anybody, feel free to jump in, I think we can all say that you just can't make those remarks as an NFL owner. You can't be saying that kind of stuff. That's just unacceptable. As the leader of a franchise, that's just completely unacceptable. And I think we should just, unless anybody has anything different, I just wanted to bring it up on the show for the listeners. But I feel like that's, done. I feel like we should just leave it
Yeah,
there.
that's kind of
Yep.
nothing more to talk about. Obviously, he's in the wrong.
Cool.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, with that, Spoon, you got any bets for us this week? Spoon's bet of the week?
man,
Spoon bits. Feed
Spoon
us.
bets.
Speaking of
Spoon
what
feed
you,
us those bets.
what you said about the Seahawks Lions, I'm thinking that over at 47.5 looks
Okay.
pretty good. I was also looking at the Dolphins Patriots. Obviously, the Dolphins just put up 36 points on their own, so I'm looking at that over as well. I'm also looking at the Dolphins -2.5, and there was one more. I'm sorry, I have it pulled up. I'm also looking closely right now. I think it was the Browns. Yep, Browns right now are -2.5 over the Steelers. I mean, if that defense comes out and plays just as good as they did last week, they can definitely cover that 2.5 point spread.
Absolutely. All right. Last bit of news I have is the Seahawks are signing Jason Peters. They are signing the 41-year-old offensive tackle. They lost
He
both.
played.
If you weren't familiar, the Seahawks lost both their tackles in the game against the Rams last week. Both their tackles were lost.
Oh,
I'm
So
pretty sure
they
he
are.
played for the Cowboys last year.
Yes, he did. Mercenary work for Jason Peters coming in on a 1-year deal to help out the Seahawks. So,
Was sad to lose him. Wish we could have kept him.
well, with that, I think this episode has come to an end. Unless anybody has any tidbits they'd like to throw in there for the listeners this week to chew
I
on.
just would like to say I think it's crazy that all these quarterbacks, every quarterback that got money in the offseason, absolutely shit the bed for games. Daniel Jones, Lamar Jackson,
Week 1.
Joey Baggs all got great deals.
Week 1,
No.
baby. Week 1's crazy.
I've got one I'm going to keep my eye on throughout the season. The top 3 leading rushers this week had more total yards than any wide receiver not named Tyreek Hill. I am interested to see if this continues and if this helps the running backs argument that they need to be making wide receiver money. If they are producing more yards on more touches, getting more touchdowns, they need to be paid more than these guys who aren't contributing as much as they are.
Heard.
I'm going to end on a game that we did not touch from the previous week. It was Cardinals Commanders. I just want to say that, yes, the Cardinals did give us a little bit of a scare. I still have them winning 0 games, and I feel like the only reason that they were in that game is because Washington could not just hold on to the ball. They turned it over 3 times. That's the reason why the Cardinals were able to stay alive in that game. So I'm still on board with that. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that, I am going to end the show with a question for the audience. So this past weekend, the boys and I kind of got into some arguments over whether we thought week 1 was kind of a wash. I personally think week 1's kind of weird. There's always a couple teams that get blown out here and teams you think aren't going to lose that do. My favorite example so far is the Bengals have lost 4 out of their 5 last season openers. They've lost 4 out of 5, and it's just kind of weird. Week 1 is just a weird week where teams are sloppy. They're not always prepared to play, and they just don't always show up. Now, I know Dalt and Spoon, especially with the Cowboys game, they were pretty opposed to that idea. But I want to hear what you guys think. So leave it down in the comments. Let us know what you think. Like, subscribe, and we will see you all next week. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day.
Gives us no
See you
chance
guys.
to rebuttal.